Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar, Getting Started with Brightspace, Virtual Classrooms, Videonote, and Assessment Workflows. Looks like we've got a great turnout today. I'm really pleased to see that. I'm going to hand over the microphone in just a moment, but before I do, I'd like to just take care of a little bit of housekeeping here. I believe everybody is muted already, but if you see somehow that you are not, please go ahead and do so. I'll also ask you to keep your camera off. That just helps with bandwidth when we have so many people online. Today's webinar is being recorded. Anybody who registered will receive an email tomorrow with a link to that recording. I will also post the link in the webinar archive page on Brightspace community. So you can always find it there, even if you weren't registered. If you have a colleague who's interested, that link will be made available in probably tomorrow. Looking at your Zoom screen, you should see the chat function. I see that a bunch of people have found that. That's great. You are welcome to communicate in the chat function. I would also encourage you to post any questions that you might have in the Q&A pod, and that can be found on your little toolbar. This helps us track questions. I'm not sure whether we will have time to address those directly during today's webinar. We may try if we have enough time, but this does allow us to track those questions and use those for content in Brightspace community and also future webinars. My name is Josh Van Wyk. I'm a community manager here at D2L. With me in the presentation today are some colleagues of mine, including Jeff Stevenson, Senior Manager of Community and Knowledge, Michael Bird, who is a Solutions Engineer here at D2L, Susan Klesath, Manager for Technical Support, Global Customer Support and Community. And I believe that we may actually have an additional presenter today, Sean Morris, and Sean is a Senior Manager for Technical Support here at D2L. On that note, I am going to stop sharing my screen, and Jeff, if you would like to take over, it's all yours.
Thanks, Josh. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. What you will see to start off with is just a general Google search screen. So Josh, if you can verify that you see that.
I do.
Excellent, thank you. So before I get too deep into the presentation, just wanted to thank everybody for joining this meeting. We're excited about offering you this webinar. It's the second in a series of webinars that we here at D2L. So everybody on the line that will be presenting today we are part of D2L, and you know, that's the company obviously that offers the Brightspace learning solution for you. We're excited to be offering you these web series in this time of a little bit of uncertainty of trying to move as quickly as we can from face-to-face into online learning. And so we wanted to put these series together for you to help you really, you know, transition the best way possible with the least amount of frustration or confusion that we can offer. So today, as you saw in the opening page, we're going to be covering virtual classrooms, Videonote, and if time permits, assessment workflows. And then if we don't get to assessment workflows today, that will be in our next webinar in the coming week. And so before we jump too deeply in, what I want to do is I want to highlight for you some resources that you can get that are outside of the Brightspace learning environment themselves that we have designed to really help supplement what you're about to see today in the webinar, and also be your source for information that goes beyond just general questions around virtual classrooms, Videonote, or assessments workflow. So you can see my screen here, and it's just a general web page. And what I want to do is direct you to the Brightspace community. And the way you get to Brightspace community is when in your address bar at any point, if you wanted to type in brightspace.community.com, this will take you to our community opening web page. And this, again, this is a site that we have designed to help you with finding information about anything that has to do with Brightspace. You can find our FAQs, our general articles. You can also log in and join the community and participate in discussions with other users. We have about 35,000 other D2L customers that are in the community that are very willing to answer questions for you, as well as D2L employees, hundreds of D2L employees that frequent the community to answer and participate in discussions with you as you have questions. You can also join groups. And I'm going to walk you through a couple of resources just to point out around the community right now, in case you're not familiar with it, just so you can understand what it is, and hopefully you'll become a participant in the community with us. So again, you can, from anywhere you want, it's again outside of the Brightspace learning environment, go to community.brightspace.com and you will find this landing page. This is our landing page for just to help you get started. If you are a member, you can go ahead and click in this login button here in the upper right. Or if you are new to the community and want to join, you can join the community here by seeing this really big banner right in the middle and just clicking become a member. You can very quickly fill out just a couple of pieces of information, and then you'll be able to log in as a registered user of our community. And so what I want to do is just quickly log in for you as an instructor. And what you'll find, the first thing I want to point out to you is when you log in and you have chosen, or you've told us about who you are, whether you're an instructor or an administrator, you can see that your home page, once you're logged in, so we are now logged in as an instructor, you can see that the home page is designed very specifically with instructors, if you're an instructor, and this would be true for an administrator if you're an administrator, or a developer if you're a developer, specifically with you and your work needs in mind. And so you can see here, the very top content, we have things just to help you getting started, like a checklist to help you make sure you've got everything that you need, how to build content, how to participate and get discussions going, uploading assignments, and so on and so forth. So all of the things that are probably pressing top of mind for you right now, we have a lot of that curated information. You don't have to go anywhere else in the community to find that. Also, we have, if you look up here, these tabs, the video tab is very powerful, and it has all kinds of video playlists and curated videos to help you walk through the different tools and the different ways of engaging within Brightspace that we have. And so that's very, very powerful. And again, that's once you sign into community, you will see this. And again, at community.brightspace.com. What I want to do really fast is highlight a couple of things for you. I've just highlighted the personalized homepage that you have. Again, specifically for the type of job you're trying to do. If you're an instructor or an administrator, it will change, like I said. The other thing that I want to highlight for you very upfront is you can see this banner. We have this banner specifically designed to help people during COVID-19 as they are transitioning from that in-person to a virtual classroom. And so when you click on that, I just want to highlight the article for you. We have curated some of the best content across our community into this one spot to really help you get up to speed with that transition. So you can see in the table of contents, we have general things. You can even start off with contingency planning for your institution. If you're still in that frame of mind, we have some great best practices for you here, all the way from ourselves, as well as some of our partner institutions like Harvard has some really great resources there. And then you get into some really hands-on great stuff on how to use tools and really start to make that transition again into online learning. If you have any questions about the community, there's also a section here for community support resources that will help you navigate, get involved in the community, and really understand all of the resources that are available to you. As one of those resources that I want to highlight directly for you is our discussions area. And you can get to the discussions area one very, very simple way. At any page in the community, you can go to this all discussions button right here up on our navigation bar, which follows you to every single page on community, no matter where you are. If you click on that, you're taken to our discussion section, or discussion area of the community. It's a really powerful area for you to look through to see what people are talking about, what people are asking about now. You can also ask your own question of the community. Once you're here, you can click this orange button. And I want to point out to you that this orange button, actually, you'll see this on almost every single page of community. We've made it easy for you as you're looking at content. If you have a question at all, you can just quickly, if you're logged in, quickly click this button and you can submit your question to the community at large. And again, we have about 35,000 community users that engage on a regular basis. These are people that are using the community that are using Brightspace right now, that have expertise that they can share with how they're being successful in their own institutions. And we also have D2L employees, hundreds of them, that stand by ready and willing to help when questions are asked in the community. And just to point out, something we're very proud of is a question that gets asked in community. About 90% of the time, that question has an answer within the first 24 hours of it being asked. We're really dedicated to helping you get the resources and the answers you need as quickly as you need them. We also always have a search capability. So the search function, you can search through our thousands of documentation, articles, FAQs, and getting started best practices. And it's just a keyword search that I'll show you if time permits at the end of this seminar. The final thing that I want to point out, and then we'll get to the overview of virtual classrooms and Videonote, is our Learning Center. And so again, Learning Center is a button that you can, or is a place you can reach by clicking on the Learning Center button in our navigation bar. And it's a separate space that we have designed that is actually a Brightspace learning environment that we've designed specifically for you, that houses up and running and best practice courses that you can really get in and hands-on learn about and see some best designed Brightspace courses that we can offer for you. And you can download resources from here and really understand some of the ways that we have designed the Brightspace learning environment that will give you inspiration and the hands-on tools to design your own environments as well. So you can see some of these high-level courses that we're highlighting here. Again, that's the Learning Center, and you can access that anytime you want once you've logged in by clicking on the Learning Center button within the Brightspace community on the nav bar that follows you everywhere. So I'm going to pause there, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we'll now turn it over to Michael Bird, who's going to start the walkthrough of virtual classrooms. So thank you.
Hey, I'm just going to dive in, Josh, here again. Real quick before Michael steps in. A question I get a lot about the persona when somebody signs up for community, and Jeff was showing us the instructor persona. There's often some concern, does this mean that I can only see instructor-related content? The answer is no, nothing is off limits. It is all available to you. That simply allows us to target relevant content on your homepage, but fear not, you are not limited only to content related to that. You still have access to everything else. That's everything for me. Michael, please dive on in.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I'm going to assume that everyone can see my screen. So
Yep,
for
looks
today,
good.
awesome. Thank you for confirming. For today, I'm going to be walking through some of the video capabilities of the platform. So we'll dive right in. So right now with COVID especially, there's a lot of need to take that online training, or take that face-to-face training and bring it online. So the way we can do that is to use a bunch of the great Brightspace tools that we have available to us. So there's this common kind of misconception that when we take virtual classrooms online, we actually lose some of that functionality and that collaboration that happens in the learning environment. But I'm going to show you a virtual classroom tool today that's built into Brightspace fully. You can access it quickly and easy from your existing activities area, or if you are signed in and in the new content experience, you could do it the same way from the add button here and click virtual classroom to set up a new session quickly and easily as we went through this. So we'll schedule a meeting together. We'll just call this a webinar session maybe. We can set a time on it. Great thing about setting the date and time on this is that it will automatically link up with the Brightspace calendar that your learners, that your users will be able to subscribe to. So they'll get notifications about these upcoming sessions, as well as give you the ability to publish those things out as announcements, things like that. The max duration is 60 minutes for this type. We can start the recording of the session automatically, as well as the ability to publish the recording automatically. The great thing about that is that if someone misses the first 10 minutes of an in-person class or the last 10 minutes, they missed it. They're not coming back. They can't review it after the fact. No one's recording that session. But in Brightspace, when that session is recorded, anyone can come back and view it again later so that they can check in on what they missed. They can review that content that they want to catch up on, things like that. We also have the ability to allow external participants. So this allows you to bring in guest speakers, people who aren't Brightspace users, to speak to your class, to do that sort of thing as we go through the process, as well as the ability to invite the entire class as a default feature, or the ability to invite just certain students or a single student, even if you wanted to do the process that way. So you could have group assignments, but you met with a group. You could host office hours where people could come in, sign in and out as they please, and ask you questions. All of that same functionality you'd have in a lecture hall can also be kind of added in this way. So I'm going to save this new session. I'm going to add it to my course. Click here to add it in. Again, the great thing about this is it automatically adds it in below the rest of the content. So there's no need for me to send out a link or try to publicize the fact that that meeting exists. People can just go in and grab it. So I have the ability to grab that external link. I get a lot of great kind of call-in information about who can use it, how you can call in, computer pre-checks so that everyone knows exactly what they need to know before they start, as well as some nice quick tips to make the process really easy and seamless for all of your users, regardless of their kind of technological ability. So with one click, I have now launched my virtual classroom space. In this case, I'm going to do listen only because I don't want double audio, but you would want to turn on your microphone if you were doing it live. I have the ability to share my camera to make it a bit more engaging, and up to 7 other learners can share their camera as well. And you may be wondering why only 7 minutes. That's because we want to maintain bandwidth as well as screen real estate, so we can help learners focus on what really matters as they're going through these processes. So I have the ability to have a whiteboard here where I can be pointing to things. I can collaborate with users. I can write any, nonsense on the screen that I'd like to, and we can talk about that as we go through, as well as the ability to draw shapes if I'd like to, make it a bit more fun, do whatever I'd like. I can also share my screen, so I can share a presentation, a process, guidelines on anything that I'd like to, with the ability to share a single application window or even a specific tab if I'd like to, which is a really great feature because it means you don't need to ever worry about Outlook notifications or Skype or Slack notifications popping up as we go through things. Now, I can take this a step further, kind of make it more collaborative, because this is just me talking at someone rather than it being kind of a collaborative experience. And we also have a chat built in. So I will have my lovely assistant, who also happens to be my wife, type something in the chat for me there. And there we go. My assistant is here. So I can type back, we can have a conversation. I can even send files to the chat, which is a really great feature for sharing resources as we go through that process. And if I want to look at all the participants that are in my session, I can also do that. So I can set a status for myself. I can also look at her status and see that I can chat with her privately. I can make her a presenter. I can see that she's clapping her hands, which is very nice. Thank you, dear. As well as the ability to clear her status as we go through this, and maybe even remove her, kick her out of the session if she's not laughing at my jokes or something like that. And I can also promote her to the moderator of the chat so she can see what people are doing and kind of make sure it's being used in a functional, productive way as we go through that. Now, we can take this a step further in terms of the collaboration that's available. We have the ability to upload a presentation. So you may be wondering, why would we upload a presentation versus just sharing a screen? The advantage of uploading a presentation into Virtual Classroom is that the tool itself is going to convert this presentation into a PDF and generate images for it. And now, because I have this in here, we can annotate this together as well. So I can start typing more nonsense about how we're collaborating or whatever we might be doing as we go through this process, as well as the ability to circle any areas. Maybe I think D2L's 20 years of experience is the most important aspect of this page. I can also make this even more innovative and turn on multi-user mode. And we can see now that my lovely assistant's laser pointer will show up on screen, and she can start typing content out as well. She can change the color, she can draw things, whatever works for her as she wants to. We can collaborate together and work through this process, make it a much more engaging experience for the learners that are in there, whatever it might be. She can draw a picture of an animal on my slide, whatever works for her. And then to make it collaborative in a different way, we can challenge preconceived notions. We can get people more involved in the process by initiating polls. So I could ask a question out loud of mobile, tablet, and desktop, what do you view as the most important feature Brightspace has to offer? Sasha will see the options pop up in the top corner there, and then she can select a response. I can then see that response come in live as they happen. I can close that poll so that information is only for me, or I can close the poll and publish the results. So this is a great way to get learners more involved in the process, get them more engaged, challenge preconceived notions, ask trick questions, show them what that popular opinion is among that group. Things like that are all possible with this aspect of the tool, as well as the ability to mute all, and if you have the premium version of this tool, add breakout rooms as well to get people involved in that way. So I'll take a quick pause here and look through a few of the questions. So Bongo can do longer than 60-minute sessions. That is a different version of the tool. That would be a conversation to have with maybe your account rec or your customer success manager to talk about how that could get turned on for you. There is also the ability, based on that second question there, to have a buffer time for the instructor. So the instructor can start the session a bit early and end it a bit late if necessary, so that you're not just cut off at that 60 minutes. And you can see that all as part of it. When a student comes back to track the recorded, to watch the video, are they tracked whether they watch the whole video or not? They are not tracked based on whether they watch the whole video, but you can track who watched the video as part of that process. After answering a few questions, I'll move on from there and into the other aspect of some video within the platform. So to make the kind of learning environment a bit more authentic and collaborative, rather than asking multiple choice questions, for example, we can use what we call video assignments or video assessments within the platform to help people demonstrate their authentic ability beyond what they would do if they were just showing their knowledge on a test. So in this case, I have a silly little exercise, but it could be any scenario you wanted, any soft skill, any presentation, whatever it happened to be, where they come in and answer a question live rather than just typing out their response. So right now I'm signed in as my 3-year-old daughter, and she's taking a leadership course because I feel like that's something that she could use a little bit of help with. She's a bit too headstrong. And we could come into this process. I could watch this scenario, and I have the ability to record a video of my response for how I would talk about leadership in 2 minutes or less, or respond to any given scenario. So given that we are talking about my 3-year-old, we could say something like, leadership is all about yelling and crying and screaming until I get what I want. I can watch it back. So I have that kind of space for safe practice where I can improve that performance or that skill without submitting it, and I can save it. And then it's going to take a second to process before being available to add to that submission. So it's a great way to kind of get people involved in the process. We can preview a previous video of her giving some silly response or whatever it might have been. But we also have the ability to leverage peer review within the platform. So I have a ridiculous video of Michael Scott talking about leadership, and I could watch that through and give comments. So I could just say, do better. Maybe not the best comment, but probably accurate for him. And you can see that as soon as I start typing, the video automatically pauses. And as soon as I hit send, the video automatically continues. And the same thing is true for video here as well. So rather than just typing out what I think someone could have done better, I can actually record a video demonstrating that process, demonstrating that ability myself, and say, rather than saying this, you could have said that, or whatever we want to do there. And then that video will be saved in line as part of the feedback. The video starts up again, and I have the ability to jump to any specific comment as that peer reviewer, as the instructor, as the individual that submitted this assignment. So everyone gets to collaborate in terms of how to get better. We can see who's done what, they got a good score, and try to emulate some of their strategies, things like that as we go through the process. And then for video assignments, a couple common questions that come up. We have the ability to upload videos into this as well. It doesn't need to be just recorded in the platform, and the ability to also download any video that came into this platform. So this video assessment section, because I just saw a question pop up, has just been loaded into this sample course that I have here as a specific assignment within this course that I launch. Just that simple and just that easy for users to kind of go through that process. Now moving on to Videonote, which is how users are able to record video directly in the platform, to add to content, to add to discussions, to add to quizzes, to make all of that process a bit more authentic for users as they go through and do these types of things. So as many of you hopefully already know, but I will teach you if you don't right now, we have the ability within Brightspace to create content directly within the platform. And then within this content creation, we can leverage our built-in document templates so that you get beautifully designed, fully accessible, fully responsive templates right off the bat without you having to do any work, where I can just start typing content. I can add in a ridiculous leadership quote as I go through this, and I can make an entire page really, really quickly and easily that could be changed to be branded to your standards, to your logo, to your colors, things like that. With the added ability to then use our Videonote functionality from this insert stuff button that's part of every single one of these HTML editors that's built into the platform. So if I click insert stuff and find add Videonote, again, video or my camera is going to turn on directly within the platform, and I'll be able to record a video introducing myself to my class, talking about a process, talking about how I would coach someone, demonstrating how to do a specific lab activity, whatever it might be. I can do that directly within the platform from my computer, from my phone, from my tablet, whatever works for you. We can do that quickly and easily. But for this page, since it's a Meet Your Facilitator page, I'll just quickly say, hi, I'm Michael. I'm really excited to be teaching this course to you. I'm going to click next quickly because I don't want to listen to my own voice if I don't have to. And then I'm going to be prompted to add accessibility information. Because Brightspace is a fully accessible platform, no features get released to the public unless they are fully accessible and they are fully tested by our in-house accessibility department. So I'll quickly add a title and a description. I know this isn't the most creative title or description, but it's just that simple and easy to do, with the new added ability now to add a specific language that I'm using. So in this case, we'll do Canadian English, and I can tell this video to automatically generate captions for me. So that hits another great accessibility requirement, but it also makes the design of your learning far more inclusive, so that people who maybe don't have great knowledge of English or maybe need a little bit of extra help then have the ability to watch the video with the captions on, help them learn the process better, help them learn the content better, whatever it might be, kind of go through and make it really easy and intuitive. So that's going to take a second to render. While it does that, I'll just quickly mention how Brightspace makes the processes really, really easy and intuitive. So you may have noticed as I've been going through a few of these things, I've been clicking these blue buttons a lot. By and large, when you click a blue button, things are going to work. And if you click a blue button and you forgot something like the title, I can quickly add that title, click that blue button again. And just like that, we've created a brand new page of content with my name, a ridiculous quote, and a video we only just recorded introducing myself to the class that will then be fully responsive and accessible for learners as they go through that learning journey with you online when they maybe would have been doing it in class otherwise. Now, the other advantage of this tool is that we can use it in a number of different places within the platform. So this is as a new piece of content I just created, but it can also be used as part of a discussion. So if I jump back to my daughter's course here, I can jump into my introduction and expectations discussion topic here. And this is where I'm having my learners introduce themselves and talk about the expectations they have for the course. So I can start a new thread for her and say, hi, I'm Natalie. And rather than typing out my kind of introduction for her and what I care about that course, that insert stuff button is available here as well, along with our Videonote feature, so that rather than having a text discussion of exactly who I am and what I'm expecting from this course, I can actually record a video of that, make it more engaging for other learners, make it more engaging for myself, and help people get to know me to enhance that collaboration that's available within the platform. So the same thing would be true here. I can start a recording, say, hi, I'm Natalie, I'm 3, and I'm really excited to learn more about leadership. And I could add this video to this platform here as well. And then that would be available for other people to watch, comment on, respond to in video as well. Do all of those great things throughout the platform as they went through this stuff. So a couple common questions about Videonote, because there's a bunch of stuff happening in the questionnaire, and I'll see if I can get to it. But Videonote access is one that comes up pretty often. So anyone can have access to Videonote. It's just a matter of where you give people access. So in this case, as a discussion, learners would have access. If I'm creating content as an instructor or an administrator, that would only be for content and our instructors and administrators. This could also be added as part of a quiz question. Whatever you really wanted to do, you can add that insert stuff button use that insert stuff button to add video note content in a quiz as the quiz question, as the quiz options, or as part of the quiz feedback to make that a really authentic quizzing experience as you go through that process. I can show you one of those little pieces in action as well for a pre-recorded video note area. So if I play this video, make it full screen, you can turn on the captions, and you can see this is an automatically generated caption for this specific ridiculous video from The Office. We can kind of go through that process and show you how the value can be added there, because captioning can be a time-consuming and expensive aspect of kind of video production and things like that. So I'll just quickly look through the questions here. I think some of those from Videonote. So you can include Google Slides and Docs within the platform. There's an automatic integration. You would just sign into Google when you were doing those sorts of things to bring that content in. I want students to be able to video their own speeches for a public speaking class. Is that what a video assignment is for instead of Videonote? So that's really up to you. You can use it as part of a video assignment. You could also use it as part of a discussion where they recorded their video note and everyone could watch it back and forth. It's really up to you in terms of how you want to set that up, in terms of feedback, as well as in terms of how you want to grade and things like that. But it looks like that's a decent number of questions. I think that's probably enough for me there. I don't want to step over my time limit. I'll throw it back over to you, Josh.
Great, thank you very much, Mike. I really appreciate that. And I believe next up will either be Susan or Sean. Okay, great. Susan, I can see your screen. Looks good. Oh, I wonder if perhaps you are on mute. No?
Can you hear me now?
Ah,
Is that
yes.
better?
Yes,
Okay,
perfect. Thank you.
perfect. So today I'm going to walk through some of the assessment workflows that we have within Brightspace. And I'm going to start by having a look at assignments. So I have it right up here on my navigation bar. If you don't have it in your navigation bar, you can either choose to edit your nav bar, or you can access it through Course Admin. I'm going to click in on assignments here. So as Michael was saying, the blue button is when you're going to actually do something. So in this case, to create that new assignment, you can click in on that blue button here. So once you're here, the first thing that it asks for is a quick name for what your new assignment is going to be. So I'm going to name my new assignment Test Assignment. So you'll notice that the name has a little star beside it. That means that it's a mandatory field before you can actually carry on with some of this other stuff. In order to go over to the restrictions tab, you would need to have a name associated with your assignment first. In terms of what your students are actually going to be completing within that assignment, it's your choice. You could choose to fill in the instruction section here using that same HTML template that we're now familiar with from content, from announcements, from some of these other tools. You can choose to insert a video that explains what you want them to do, or you can just insert some text and some other information. Additionally, you could also add an attachment, such as a file or a link to an existing activity that explains what it is that you want the student to do. Once you're done filling out the instructions for that assignment, then we move on to the type of assignment that we want to fill out. So we have a couple of options. We can create an individual assignment, which is every individual in your course is going to be submitting their own work. Alternatively, we could create a group assignment if you already have groups set up within your Brightspace environment. Beyond that, we can have a look at a couple different submission types. So a file submission is the same as a traditional, think of it as an essay where they're writing a submission and then submitting to you on paper. There's going to be a file submitted there. But in this case, they'll be submitting that on Brightspace instead. We also have an option for a text submission, which instead of having them upload a file into Brightspace, they can instead type their text into a text box that shows up on the submission screen. If we're looking at an on-paper submission, this means that they actually submitted it to you in person. So think of it as that printed essay that you're receiving. But then you can still grade that within Brightspace. Also, we have an observed in person. So this is something like there was a presentation that they did, but you want to grade that presentation. So you can create an assessment for that. In this case, we're going to show you a test with the file submission. The options below that submission type, you notice change slightly based on each type that I chose. But for the file submission, we have the options of one file that they're allowed to submit or an unlimited number of files that they can submit. And that's within their same submission option. So with the unlimited, they can upload 2, 3, 4 files before hitting the submit button. Whereas the other option is they are only allowed to upload one file. And that's where it's slightly different from the submission options here. Submissions are the collection of the number of files that they're uploading at once. So in this case, if you said one file, but all submissions, they could upload multiple files just through multiple different submissions. There's also an option here for the notification email address. And what this means is when a user actually submits a file into this assignment, that will go and inform you that it's been uploaded. So you can go and flag that as a chance to go grade the assignments. Now we also have a category feature. And while this is an optional feature, if you have a lot of assignments within your course, it's a good way of grouping them. So if you had a lot of assignments for, say you're teaching grade 1 and you've got a bunch of assignments for your math section of the course, but also some assignments for history or geography, you could group those based on the categories. In the evaluation and feedback section, this is where we're looking at how to grade the assignment. So there is an option here to attach it to a grade item. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail today on creating those grade items. We'll talk about that in a future webinar. But within here right now, what we can do is say we want to grade this assignment out of 10. From the student's perspective, they're going to see it as 10 out of 10 or 100. But we can also edit these display settings based on how you want your students to see their results. If you have a rubric that you want to be grading against, this is also a good opportunity to select your rubrics. I currently don't have any in my test course, and we'll go over rubrics in a future webinar as well. Additionally, you can choose if you want to be able to see the students' names when you're marking their assignment. Having anonymous assignments is great because then there's no way that you can see who submitted it, and it's just purely based on the content that's in front of you. So that's all within the main page, the properties page of that new assignment. If we switch over to the restrictions tab, we'll notice that by default, it's checked to hide the assignment from users. So when you're ready to actually get users to complete the assignment, we need to make sure that we uncheck this so that it's visible to that learner account. Within the restrictions tab, this is where you can also set up any due dates for that assignment. So if it's due on a particular day, you can choose what day and time that's due on. But you can also choose if it's going to be visible to your learners all of the time until that due date, or if it's only going to be available at a certain time when they can start working on that assignment. So these are the workflows to actually create a new assignment. I also wanted to bring your attention quickly back to the same COVID-19 page that Jeff was talking about earlier. One of the links within here under the creating more engaging content online is the best practices for the assignment tool. So within the best practices for the assignment tool, it walks through explaining what all of these features are, similar to what I did today. So if you ever need to reference back to that, you have the article here that explains it all for you. If you're also wondering if you can see your assignment as a student, what you can do is you can do a role switch here to the learner to actually see what the assignment looks like for your students. Very quickly, I'm going to go and have a look at the quizzes as well. We're not going to go into a lot of detail, and we'll pick up on this next week. But given that we have a little bit of time, I think we can start diving into this content. So within the quizzes, similar to within the assignments, it's the blue button that you click on to actually create that new quiz. Once I click in on that, I provide a name for my quiz. And then again, similar to the assignments, this is where I can choose a category for the grouping of all of the assignments. So I'm going to name this one test quiz. So you'll notice that I had to do that before I can click on adding a new question to that quiz. So when you click on add a new question, you come up with this page that allows you to choose if you want to add a new question to the quiz, or if you want to import from an existing file or from the question library within your course. Let's say we want to create a new question. If you click on here, we've got lots of different options of what questions are available. And each of those options, the UI to actually create it is going to be slightly different. So similar to the assignments within the COVID-19 page, there's a section here for best practices on creating for the quiz tool, as well as better quiz creation. So within the best practices for the quiz tool, this is where it explains all of the different types of questions and the kind of information that you need in order to set up each question. So for right now, I'm going to save some of this material for next week. But we're going to go into that in more detail then. And at this point, I'm going to switch things over to Jeff to go into some more detail about the Brightspace community.
Thanks, Susan. I appreciate it. Great job with the overviews, both Michael and Susan. Really appreciate that. A couple of things before I jump back into the community. I will go ahead and share my screen. I've noticed in the chat section actually during this this presentation that D2L, some people from D2L have been in there answering a few questions as they've come up. But I've also noticed that folks that are just part of the participation list in this session are answering each other's questions. A question will come in, somebody else will jump in and answer that question, and that's first of all, great job, everybody. Give yourselves a hand for that. It's a great example of just stepping in this time and lending a helping hand. And it's also a great example of how the community in Brightspace works pretty much every single day. Like I pointed out with the discussions area, it is a great place to learn from each other and to engage with each other in meaningful ways. You can make some great connections, and it's amazing to see the creativity and the inspiration with which a lot of our customers, so many of our customers, have utilized Brightspace within their institutions, and how quickly they're willing to respond and share that expertise and that knowledge with others within the community. So, I'm sure you're going to be walking out of here with some additional questions on what more you can do. The community is absolutely your spot to continue that conversation, not only with the folks on this call, but also with others, like I said, the thousands of other users that are in community on a daily basis, sharing their knowledge. A couple of things that I wanted to point out before we wrap up our time here is some supplemental information around virtual classrooms, Videonote, and the assessments workflows that were shown to you today. And so I'm just going to quickly jump over to this article that we have. The way I got to this article was I just went ahead up in the search bar. If I type in virtual classroom, if I can spell it correctly, and I click on virtual classroom, there's a bit of a lag right now just due to how many people are in the system. But if you see this virtual classroom and video assignments instructor guide, it's the first one that comes up and when you type in a search. And so our search is really great about highlighting different areas. You can see there's a lot of information around virtual classroom, but I really want to highlight this top piece of the virtual classroom and video assignments instructor guide. When I click on that, I'm brought to an article that has a pretty comprehensive list of information around it. And what I want to point out is there's this attachment. It is a document that if you click on this attachment, you will automatically download it. So you'll have the artifact with you wherever you want to go. And what it covers all the information within this article. So each topic, each title here will have really comprehensive information on doing all of the things that Michael walked you through earlier today, and probably a little bit more even if you wanted to dig a little bit deeper into that. So just again, if you're in the community, just typing in simply virtual classroom will get you that first hit, and it'll tell you a little bit of what you will get when you download that document. We have a lot of these guides, these documents within community that are very comprehensive. Some of them can be multiple pages long, but just know that when you look at the contents of it, of what's in that guide as you find that article and then decide to download it, that's what will give you an idea of the actual information within that document. And then you can take that, have it on your desktop if you want to, share it with others, and so you're sure that you have that moving forward once you get that from community. So this is a really great leave behind that we want to share with you. Again, if you go to community.brightspace.com, and then all you have to do is search on virtual classroom. And just to note, if you don't want to take the time to log in and you just went as an unregistered user in the community to our search bar, once you got to that home page and searched on virtual classroom, you will find this as well. Well over 98% of our content is viewable and accessible within the community, whether or not you log in as a user when you show up there. The other thing that I want to point out is another great leave behind, which is this LE Videonote instructors, how to enable closed captions in Videonote. So we talked a little bit about that. And this is an example of, there's not an attachment on this one because this is a very quick hit, exactly how to enable closed captions in Videonotes. And this will give you exactly the steps you want to take to enable closed captioning. We know that accessibility is so very important for so many of our students. So I wanted to highlight that. And again, all you have to do is search on Videonote and probably closed captioning. I spelled Videonote incorrectly, but you can see that even though I spelled Videonote incorrectly or video incorrectly, that first hit that you get will be the same article that I referenced for you. So again, the search functionality is forgiving. It's also pretty powerful. You can also see, if I click back just on the search results themselves, there's a lot of information here around Videonote or around the different areas that you're looking for. So be sure you utilize the summary within the search results to get you to the right article as well. And finally, what Catherine mentioned again is that same best practices assignment tool. And for that one, all you have to do is start typing an assignment tool, and you can see that this actually has a preemptive search as well if you don't want to hit the return button. But if you just search on assignment tool, again, that best practices is the first option that comes up for you. And this is exactly, I'm sorry, not Catherine, what Susan was referencing earlier on is the exact same article that you see here. Again, this is an article that does not have an attachment. It's just a very, very short and very clear piece of documentation on how to set up that assignment tool. So again, just wanted to highlight some of the articles specific to this this webinar that we have available to you, and also just some of the navigation within community that will help you. And if you ever are not able to find an article that is associated with what you're looking for, again, I want to just remind you that even though we're looking at an article right now and we have not gone to the discussions area of our community, you still have this Ask the Community button right here, that if you were to click on that, even here, it's not going to take you anywhere off of this article. It will launch your ability to ask a question of the community right here, without having to go anywhere else. So we've made that engagement within the community, just like we're seeing in this webinar right now, back and forth between our users, our clients, or other D2L staff. We've made that very, very simple to enable within the community itself. So hopefully, again, use that search bar. Make sure that you access some of those as to help you supplemental information from this webinar. But with that, Josh, I think I'll turn it back over to you. And I don't know if we're going to take questions or if we want to just thank everybody for their time.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Yeah, if my fellow panelists are willing to go through the questions, I think we do have a few minutes here. Before I open that up, though, I do want to just mention, I see there's some questions about the recording for today's webinar. Tomorrow, anybody who registered for this webinar will receive an email with a link to that recording. I'm going to pop a couple of links into the chat here as well. The first link is to our upcoming webinars. That is a page in the community. I encourage you to register for community and hit the follow button on that. Anytime we have a new webinar coming up, I'm going to be putting it in that article and you will receive a notification. As far as the recording goes, I've put a link in the chat just now for the webinar archive. That is also in the community. You can also follow that article. Once that recording is available, I will also be popping the link in that webinar archive page so that anybody at all who wants to see it will have access to that. Finally, I'd just like to echo what Jeff mentioned earlier about participation in the chat. Big shout out to Steve Paulson. Thank you so much for diving in on all these questions. Really appreciated. Like Jeff said, I love seeing everybody come together, particularly when things are as challenging as they are these days. All right, on that note, I think we have a few minutes for questions. If my fellow panelists are willing to dive into the Q&A, that would be great.
Yeah, I can answer one of the questions. So Maria was asking whether students can collaborate in the presentation, or is it just the teacher and the moderator? Virtual Classroom does allow everyone just to collaborate, or people that you choose to have the option to collaborate when you turn on that multi-user mode. So that's available. So you can set up kind of group sessions or one-on-one sessions, office hours, whatever it might be. You can have it set up so that anyone that comes in has the ability to collaborate together in that way. The next question below that was asking if that was a PowerPoint presentation that I was using, and yes, it was. I uploaded it using the Upload a Presentation tool. As I mentioned, it does convert it to a PDF so that after the fact, that PowerPoint is available as a PDF with all those annotations available. The other great aspect of the recording of these virtual classroom sessions is that they include all the annotations live. It's not just a file at the end. You can actually see the video recording those annotations happening live as you go through that process. Someone else is asking about math text. Brightspace does have an equation editor, so that can be leveraged anywhere you have that HTML editor that I was using to add Videonote. So there's an equation editor. If you click the little 3-dot button at the bottom, that will show you the rest of those tools, one of which is an equation editor that I believe has graphical equations, chemistry equations, and math equations all as part of it. Those can also be used as part of a quiz, as part of a discussion, as part of an assignment. Whatever you might want to do to make that really engaging and authentic in terms of what you were trying to assess. I'm just reading through a few more questions. If anyone else wants to jump in, feel free.
Hey, Michael, it's Sean. There's a question from Charmaline. Can you have 2 moderators at the same time for a virtual classroom?
That's a good question. I'm actually in the process of testing that right now. I will definitely follow up after the fact and we can figure that out.
There's another question from Jody Harms, again, regarding virtual classroom, is if the meeting can be accessed prior to the start time, or do you need to schedule it in advance? I think there's like a 10-minute window for instructors to get in there.
That is correct. On either side of the session, there's a 10-minute buffer time where people can join in so they can show up a bit early rather than having to wait in a lobby or something like that.
There's another question here from Charmaline about uploading presentations well in advance of when they're scheduled.
Got it. So yeah, that's when I started to type a response in too. You can upload the presentation as part of a content topic. So the way that we would traditionally do that, so you could track kind of completion of it separately, would be that you uploaded the presentation as a regular content topic, the same way you would a content page, and then have that same presentation available when you did the actual bongo session. That way people could have download it prior to the fact rather than only having it be available when you came in to do the session itself. The presentation itself that you're showing as part of that annotations that I was doing there, though, that is only available to be uploaded once you start the session. But using that buffer period, you could make sure it was up and running, even if it was quite a large PowerPoint. When a user loses internet connection, what is the recommended way to re-enter the chat? So if they lose internet connection for an extended period of time, then they will have to re-enter the same way they came in to a virtual classroom session. If it's only for a short period of time, it will try to reconnect. So I'm sure lots of us are experiencing 3 or 4 seconds of downtime of internet every once in a while. It will just kind of delay the session, so you won't hear anything for those 3 or 4 seconds. And then assuming your internet kicks back in, it will reconnect. Another feature worth mentioning for virtual classroom that I forgot about earlier is that it has recently been optimized to run on slow internet connections. So you saw me going through it there, showing a lot of different functionality with the whiteboard, with the presentation, sharing my video, audio, chat, all that stuff. It actually will scale down how much you see based on your internet connection, all the way down to 256 kilobytes a second, which is very, very, very slow internet. At that point, you will only get audio, and then things can scale back up from there based on what your internet is performing at. Someone's asking, what is the difference between an assignment and a Dropbox? Is it just terminology? Yes, in this case, it is just terminology. So it really is kind of a thing that different organizations use. Some use assignment, some use Dropbox. So we tend to use both when we're describing it because people understand it in different ways. Someone's asking whether can smartboard presentations be uploaded to the platform, and yes, assuming they've been captured as a PDF or an image or however that might be working with the smartboard technology you're using, you can drag and drop them into Brightspace as a piece of content that people can view.
Looks like we got about 2 minutes left, and then we'll have to wrap it up.
Sounds good. Just reading through questions here. So the breakout rooms aspect of the virtual classroom is a premium feature. It's very simple to use. You just choose breakout rooms. You can divide people up into those rooms, set the time limit for that area. People will automatically be jumped out into those breakout rooms. And then during that 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever you set it as, the instructor and moderator have the ability to jump around from breakout room to breakout room to kind of push people in the right direction, all those sorts of things to help them kind of make the best out of that time. And then once that time is over, everyone can be brought back into that larger session where then a member of each group could be made the presenter and discuss what they had discussed in their breakout room specifically. The 30-minute maximum video note, I think, is the current maximum, but I think if you talk to your administrators, that can be extended to 60 minutes if that is of interest. No, Hilda, breakout rooms are not available as part of the free package. And it looks like we are out of time, so I will hand it back over to Josh. Thank you, everyone, for the time today.
Thank you very much, Michael. I really appreciate you jumping on those questions at the end there. I know we didn't quite get to everybody's question, a few questions in the chat as well. Apologies. Please do explore the community, and I think you will find a lot of the information you're looking for there. As Jeff mentioned, please don't be shy about diving into the discussions as well. For those who are looking forward to upcoming webinars, please do follow the upcoming webinar link in the community. We will also add the registration link to the Working Together Through the COVID-19 Virus Outbreak banner at the top of every page in Brightspace community. So keep an eye there and you will see it. Thank you very much to all the presenters and to everybody for joining. Great crowd today, and I hope we see you all next time. All right, bye-bye.